Volkswagen T Roc performance. Although it's rare to find a crossover hatchback with what's ostensibly a slightly detuned engine from a GTI hot hatchback, albeit a Polo GTI in this case rather than a Golf, it's not altogether surprising that VW should have built one. The company tends to offer broader engine ranges than many of its volume brand competitors, and its semi-premium positioning also allows it to embrace the more powerful end of the combustive spectrum in the way that its rivals perhaps can. Interested drivers should certainly be glad of both facts, because the T Roc 2.0 TSI performs with the strength and zest that has been conspicuous by its absence from this class thus far. It has smoothness and polish, too, being particularly quiet and well-mannered when cruising at low and high speeds, and is also well-matched to a smart, quick-shifting dual-clutch automatic gearbox that impresses in both automatic and paddle-shift manual modes. When all is said and done, it's probably the completeness of the Soul-Corner powertrain that distinguishes it best. But the car is generously swift, more so, by our measurements, even than VW claims it is. You don't expect to find a launch control setting, but select S mode on the transmission and Escape Sport on the stability control, and you certainly will when holding the car on the brakes and building up a bit of power against them. And, given its head, our T Roc test car found bountiful, assured traction even in slippery conditions and needed just 6.7 seconds to hit 60 miles per hour from rest, making VW's 7.2 seconds to 62 miles per hour claim look unnecessarily conservative. The T Roc's 2.0-liter EA888 engine doesn't rev above 5,500 revolutions per minute with quite the freedom it shows in proper performance-branded applications, and if anything denies the car the telling aura of a GTI by another name, it's probably that. But it certainly pulls with ample muscle through the middle of the Tasho's travel. Sounds cultured but nicely vigorous, and has that feeling of relatively unstressed, unburstable strength almost irrespective of engine speed that's familiar from VW's even hotter Golfs and so many of the wider VW Group's performance models. Our T Roc test car certainly came in a form in which you'd expect it to do well in this section. Fitted with optional dynamic chassis control, adaptive damping and variable ratio steering, both of which are features denied to many of its rivals. But the car deploys those technologies to its advantage particularly successfully. The T Roc's breadth and range of dynamic ability is quite something. Select that sport driving mode and the handling becomes crisper, keener and more inspiring than that of any of its competitors. Select comfort instead and its ride becomes pleasingly supple and absorptive. We've seen cars in this class capable of one or other before, but none has done both quite as well. Equally pleasing to find, however, is the predictability and linearity of response that continues to mark out VW's own cars from those of its peers. Although the T Roc's variable ratio steering is quick, it doesn't gather pace in a way that surprises you off-center, and although it doesn't have the sort of weight that would make it feel unwieldy to some, it's heavy enough to feel nicely comprehensible. So the car is at once easy to maneuver at low speeds but also intuitive handling, agile, controlled and generally encouraging when it's whipped along. In none of its dynamic modes does the car lack a sense of measured, road-appropriate maturity, either. Being a pretty ordinary Haldex-style setup, VW's 4Motion four-wheel drive system isn't one that takes a lead in the driving experience. Its CSP-based torque vectoring capacities are plainly pretty slight, and it never moves enough power to the rear wheels to make the car feel like it's genuinely being pushed around corners rather than pulled. And yet it clearly adds a layer of sure-footedness to the T Roc's limit handling, combines well with a subtle but effective stability control system, and makes the car assured and easy to drive at any speed. Would you call the net result really exciting or involving? Perhaps not in total confidence, but it's getting there, and given the rounded dynamic brief this car had to meet, that's very commendable. Even in chilly, damp conditions, the T Roc made short work of fairly brisk progress around Millbrook's Alpine Hill route. Where taller, firm-sprung crossovers can feel exposed for cornering grip and a little unforgiving when driven quickly, the VW shows its dynamic class by developing plenty of grip both on turn and under high lateral load. In tighter bends, its ability to carry speed and hit apeces simultaneously belied expectations. VW's stability control, escape, almost imperceptibly prevents you from breaching the car's grip levels with power as you accelerate out of corners, but, like all the best similar systems, it feels as though it's metering out power rather than reining it in. With the escape off, meanwhile, you eventually become aware of the limitations of the four-wheel drive system, which isn't sophisticated enough to stop power and understeer.